Look at the bottle of water sitting on your desk right now. You probably paid a couple of dollars for it, thinking you were making a healthy, responsible choice. But what if I told you that you just paid a 2,000% markup for a product that literally falls from the sky? What if I told you that the liquid inside that plastic bottle is often no cleaner, no safer, and no better tasting than the water flowing freely out of the tap in your kitchen? You are actively participating in a $300 billion global illusion, arguably the greatest magic trick ever pulled by modern corporate marketing. This isn't just about paying too much for hydration. This is a highly orchestrated, deeply cynical scam that we all fall for, day in and day out. We have been completely brainwashed into buying back something that was already ours, and the companies behind this deception are laughing all the way to the bank. To understand how we got conned on such a massive scale, you have to realize that for most of human history, paying for drinking water in a disposable container would have seemed like absolute insanity. If you went back to the 1960s and tried to sell a plastic bottle of water, people would have looked at you like you were trying to sell them a jar of breathable air. The very concept was absurd. We built massive trillion-dollar infrastructure systems to deliver clean, potable water directly into our homes on demand. It is one of the crowning achievements of modern civilization. But the beverage industry had a problem. By the late 1970s and 80s, sugary soda sales were plateauing. Consumers were waking up to the health risks of drinking liquid sugar. The mega corporations needed a new product, something with infinite demand and virtually zero production cost. They looked at the tap, and they realized their biggest competitor was absolutely free. So, they couldn't just sell water. They had to sell fear, and they had to sell status. The marketing strategy was aggressively brilliant. First, they had to make you doubt your tap water. They launched massive, subtle PR campaigns designed to make municipal water seem dirty, outdated, and vaguely dangerous. They didn't necessarily lie outright, but they used words like pure, pristine, and untouched to describe their bottled products, implying that the stuff from your faucet was exactly the opposite. They put pictures of snow-capped mountains and crystal-clear alpine springs on the labels, even when the water inside was being pumped from an industrial park in New Jersey. They manufactured a crisis of confidence. Suddenly, carrying a bottle of Evian or Perrier became a symbol of health, vitality, and sophistication. It wasn't about quenching thirst anymore. It was a lifestyle accessory. But here's the darkest, most profitable secret of the bottled water industry. The massive multinational corporations that dominate this space, the companies behind brands like Dasani and Aquafina, aren't actually finding secret magical mountain springs. In many cases, they are literally just turning on the tap. An estimated 40 to 50% of all bottled water sold is simply municipal tap water that has been run through an extra filter. You are paying a premium for public water that your tax dollars already paid to treat and deliver. They take this free public resource, run it through reverse osmosis, add a specific blend of minerals back in so it tastes exactly the same every time, put it in a plastic shell, and charge you exponentially more for it. If gasoline had the same markup as bottled water, you would be paying thousands of dollars for a single gallon. It is daylight robbery, perfectly legalized, and the scam goes much deeper than just the price tag. Let's talk about where this water actually comes from when it's not from a municipal pipe. Companies will locate natural springs, often in rural or economically disadvantaged areas, and purchase the rights to extract the water. They pay an absolute pittance, sometimes just hundreds of dollars a year for permits to pump millions of gallons of water. They pump rivers dry and deplete ancient aquifers, even during severe droughts. While local residents are placed on strict water restrictions, forbidden from watering their lawns or washing their cars, these corporate behemoths are legally allowed to keep pumping millions of gallons a day, bottling it, and shipping it out of state to be sold for massive profits. They are privatizing a fundamental human right, draining local ecosystems, and leaving the communities high and dry. But the product they are selling you isn't actually the water. The water is almost incidental. What they are really selling you, what you are actually paying for, is the plastic bottle. The manufacturing of this plastic is an environmental catastrophe of epic proportions. It takes millions of barrels of oil every single year just to produce the plastic bottles consumed in the United States alone. The process of making the bottle actually requires more water than the bottle itself will eventually hold. Once you drink the water, which takes about 5 minutes, that bottle will outlive you, your children, and your great-grandchildren. The industry pushes the narrative of recycling to alleviate your guilt, but the reality is that a shockingly small percentage of plastic bottles are ever actually recycled. The vast majority end up in landfills, incinerators, or floating in our oceans, breaking down into toxic microplastics that are now being found in the deepest marine trenches. Ironically, the very product you are buying for its supposed purity is heavily contaminated by its own packaging. Recent studies have revealed that bottled water contains alarmingly high levels of microplastics. When you unscrew the cap, you are shedding thousands of microscopic plastic particles into the water. You are drinking the exact thing you were trying to avoid by shunning the tap. And speaking of safety, the regulatory double standard is staggering. In many developed nations, municipal tap water is subjected to incredibly strict, continuous testing by environmental protection agencies. Tap water is tested multiple times a day for hundreds of potential contaminants, and the results are public record. Bottled water, on the other hand, is regulated as a food product. The oversight is significantly less rigorous, testing is less frequent, and the companies are largely trusted to police themselves. We have to break the spell. We have been conditioned to crave convenience above all else, to the point where we are willing to fund the destruction of our own environment and empty our own wallets for a complete illusion. Every time you buy a plastic bottle of water, you are casting a vote for a system that monetizes a basic necessity and relies on your ignorance to survive. The $300 billion empire is built entirely on our collective willingness to be deceived. It is time to stop falling for the scam. Buy a high-quality reusable bottle. Invest in a good water filter for your home if you are genuinely concerned about the pipes in your building. Reclaim the tap. By simply changing this one daily habit, you aren't just saving hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. You are actively dismantling one of the most pervasive, destructive, and absurd corporate cons of the modern era. The water is already yours. Stop buying it back.